You are listening to Information and Inspiration with Jen Julius, helping you take control of your own life by finding clarity, improving your communication, and building confidence to achieve your goals. For more information about me and my guest, you can go to jenjulius.com and check out the On the Radio tab. And if you want to engage in the conversation today, you can go to facebook.com/JenJuliusCoaching. Today I have Janet Caliri on my show, and we will be discussing what she founded, a program called Visible Transitions. Janet, can you go ahead and tell us what you do, where you came from, and why you're so awesome?
Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome.
Yes, I'm Janet Caliri, and I have a history of being in the medical field, and I'm a certified life coach, published author, and a trained artist teacher with at-risk youth. I have been studying cognitive behavior for the last 13 years, and I recently went through my own transition, which lasted about 5 years.
Wow.
And in that time, I came up with Visible Transitions. So, in that transition, I decided to take photos of what was, like what is in today, in this moment. And it helped me look at what was true for me, what was true and going on that day, whether I liked it or not. And mostly I didn't like it. So I realized what it was helping me do is become sincerely okay with what is.
Right.
So I began to look at these photos and the situation. For example, the sink being piled up with dirty dishes for days. I took a beautiful black and white artistic photo of these dirty dishes and pans piled up way above the sink. And I thought, wow, okay, this is just what it is. And it really helped me relax into being compassionate with myself instead of beating myself up and going, yeah, you gotta clean those dishes right now. You have to. I was just like, you know what? I need to be this way. The last 3 or 4 days, I need to be exactly the way I need to be. And so I just started to relax into how I was in my process of healing, and there began Visible Transitions.
Wow. And so when did you bring Visible Transitions to Sonoma County?
In June.
Woo!
Yeah, really, I was intuitively led to come up here. And I moved up in June, and honestly, it's been a big flower blossoming. The community is receiving my program very well. The people have been more than accommodating, more than ecstatic about what I'm doing with the young kids. And I've been led to one person after another, including you, and sitting here in the radio studio. And honestly, it's been a transition that has been super, super magical and just full of flow and wonder.
Yeah. And I know you've got some really exciting stuff going on with the program, but could you tell us a little bit more about maybe some of the activities that are involved, or as you've described, a lot of the benefits you say have been proven and endorsed, right, by leaders in the academic, science, and spiritual disciplines. Mm-hmm. I'd love to hear more about that and how, I mean, this is something that it's so neat when someone creates something and everyone's like, yes, it works. And they're able to like have some of the evidence behind it saying, hey, yeah, this is why this is awesome. And these are the benefits that it really does show. A lot of healers often don't realize that that's actually still pretty important, especially in our wonderful American Western culture.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yeah. People want to see numbers and stats,
yes.
Right? Yeah.
And I do have a science background, and I'm a very curious person and have a need for discovery, that process. So it works out really well for me.
Yeah.
Sure. So what I'm doing is I'm helping young people when they're feeling challenged in a transition. A life transition could be a death, an illness, homeless, moving from a country to a city, parents divorcing, recovery, boyhood to manhood, sexuality, where someone discovers they're bisexual or they want to change their gender. So all these transitions are fundamental.
Those are big ones too.
They're big ones, but they're always happening, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, I could even see a transition being like elementary to middle school to high school.
Absolutely.
Or transitioning from being, getting all A's to now realizing high school is way harder and you're really struggling to accept that you need to work way harder or something, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Really. All the transitions that you can think of. And it just depends on the person, whether they are having a hard time with it or not, or the external forces as well. So what we do, how it started was, charting their progress with photography. So all you listeners out there, I know you've been through a transition or you're going through a transition.
And if not, you're a liar.
Yeah.
Welcome to my show.
Welcome to Fundamental 101.
Yeah. Sorry, it's not too early for me to have attitude. Anyone that listens to my show is used to this.
I love it. I'm from Boston, so.
I have a lot of people ask if I'm from the East Coast. I've had so many people ask, do I have an East Coast attitude?
Yes, you do.
Really? You'll have to tell me more later.
Okay. We'll transition you back.
Weird, because I'm a total California girl. I don't know. Weird.
All right. Well, it works.
Yeah, okay. I'll rock it.
So, when you think you're not making progress in your transition and your shoulders are tight and you have anxiety and your confidence is depleted and you think there's no hope. Yes, I know you've all been there. And then once you see evidence of your progress, what happens? Your shoulders relax. You go,
right.
Woohoo,
Yeah.
Confidence soars. Anxiety decreases. Clarity is abound. And you teach clarity, so you become more clear because all that stuff in your head is just weaning away.
Yeah.
So you can see your progress with photography. It offers evidence of your progress one click at a time. That's how it all began. And it's wonderful. Now, but I was explaining earlier about the dirty dishes. Well, that wasn't evidence of my progress, was it? No. It was evidence of what is.
What was existing at the time.
What was existing at the time. And we're all human. We're all fallible. We're imperfectly perfect and perfectly imperfect. And when we look at ourselves as that and we relax into what is, it reduces the anxiety and the depression. And it opens a portal for more playfulness, more childlike wonder.
Right.
So this is where the magic is. The childlike wonder and the playfulness. Now, what has occurred since I've begun this work is not only just the documenting and charting the progress. Now what's happening is these kids are becoming more present.
Right.
Holy cannoli, it's being more present. What could be more wonderful than that if we had thousands and thousands and thousands and millions of people becoming more present? We would have healthier relationships. In that presence, when we are in the present moment, guess what is not there? Anxiety is not there because anxiety comes from the future. Depression is not there. Depression comes from the past. So we've got the present moment.
Can we expand on that real quick?
Sure.
Just for people that maybe that's a new concept for. So kind of what we're talking about is a lot of the times anxiety is invoked by fear of future circumstances or future outcomes. So if we're feeling anxious, it's often due to the way that we're maybe worrying about something that's not yet to happen yet. Where depression, what Janet's talking about, and definitely Janet, please correct me if I'm wrong. I just want to expand on this. I like to help people understand maybe that are new to all this fun stuff. Depression sometimes has to do with being perhaps attached to past issues, past circumstances, maybe things that have occurred to us or in our lives. And that's, I think, what you're referring to around the past versus future versus being present.
Yes. Perfectly put. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So now these kids who are at this age too, especially like age 12 to 17, it's very fragile. And depression and anxiety comes up all the time. There's a lot of stress in these young people's lives. There's so many changes, constant changes.
Especially nowadays, there's so much more stuff happening all the time.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. With the stuff and the technology, if these kids are actually becoming more present, because the presence has been taken away with the technology. There's a lot of scatteredness and kids being unfocused and being labeled as ADD and ADHD, and don't even get me going there. But in the realm of all that going on and the kids still becoming present, that's a wonderful result of this work. I'm super excited about it.
Yeah.
And then, for example, so this Saturday I'm going to be at the Successful Brain Fair in Santa Rosa, and I was invited by Chance Massaro, who's a brain expert, and he was so excited about my work. And after doing my own research and talking with him, another amazing result is that the kids are learning. So exactly what's happening is they are creating new neurons in the hippocampus. Each time they take the camera and they capture a moment, they're noting a value, and I'll get into that. So they're noting a value, and each time they note a value, they're making new neurons, and they are supporting learning with those new neurons. These particular neurons are maintaining integrity. And they're not being overcome by the old neurons who kind of sit there and can make it difficult to create or change a habit or a pattern.
Absolutely.
That's just it's wonderful news. If we can help the young people create new neurons, which are supporting new habits and patterns, new creative ways of learning, that's just more goodness in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So what would you say led you to combine coaching, non-duality, photography, and working with young people? And also, could you define what you mean by non-duality?
Sure. Well, during my 5-year illness, which was adrenal exhaustion, quickly that basically removed my immune system, my metabolism, some brain function.
Wow.
Lost some relationships. I lost everything that I had. And I worked really hard through a spiritual journey in honoring myself. So it was a great process, a transition to work on the development of trusting myself and honoring myself first, just like when you get on an airplane. Put your oxygen mask on first before assisting others. So the whole idea is we've got to give to ourselves first in order to give to others, and everything is relationship, yes? So if we're going to have healthy relationships, we've got to be good to ourselves first. If I'm 50%, I'm only 50% with you. And so in those years, I had a lot of time to imaginate, and I became clean-slated because I'd lost everything. The biology, the physiology of my body changed. Everything changed. So I was a new person. And I thought, okay, what am I passionate about? What are my skills? What is next for me? I could have died, and there were times where I wanted to die. And my passions really delivered hope to me. And the hope was a vision of bringing all my passions together and making a contribution in the world. My mission is to ignite human potential. And so I just kept focused on that. And that's one of the tools that I provide to the young people, is helping them with their mojo and their life purpose, and really holding on to that in these times of transitions when I left my body, and there were times where I just didn't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
So when I got to a point where I was healthy enough to move back to the San Francisco Bay Area, my lovely friend Alejandra Soroka, she developed a small business program, 4 months for nine of us, and she and her mentor helped us create a business or modify a business. So I had a life coaching business. I had a photography business in the music industry. I had been working with at-risk youth down in Los Angeles through Inside Out Community Arts. And this program helped me develop what I have right now, visible transitions. So the idea of all you entrepreneurs is to have a niche and stay focused on that niche. Well, what was my niche? Transition. Heck, I have had so many transitions in my life, and I'm a risk taker, and I have a lot of adventure. I'm a free spirit.
Love adventure.
Yeah,
me too.
And for all you folks who are risk takers and seekers, adventurers, these tools can help you continue with that in a more profound way. For those of you who are afraid to experience life in that way, these tools can help you experience life once and for all, that you're meant to experience life here, is discovery and self-expression. And so where was I?
What did you say? Because we just had Janet at Coffee Talk last night as well. What was the quote that I like so much?
Oh,
stifled
expression leads to depression.
Stifled expression leads to depression. I say that so cheery, but that's not cheery at all, but I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I think it has a lot of truth to it.
I do too.
Yeah.
I really do too. So I'm a woman of transition. I've had a lot of personal changes myself. And when I was coaching in the past, which was mostly to adults, I helped them in transition as well. So that's my niche. And then what were my passions and skills? Working with young people. Photography, coaching. I have a lot of wonderful tools in coaching world, as you know, Jen, that can help people be more confident and have them know themselves better, because the more I know myself, the better my life works.
Right.
And then the non-duality, thank you to Christopher Harish Wallace and Christina Starr Ryan at the Mata Mayura Institute. I was involved in a 6-month immersion through tantric yoga, which is not the tantric yoga most people think, but this is the ancient Sanskrit scriptures.
Wow.
And the teachings, which are mostly all the teachings, if you look at Buddhism, for example, it's non-duality. So my personal definition of non-duality is being sincerely okay with what is. That is the practice of removing resistance, aversions, and cravings. So not trying to push things away, not trying to bring things in. And I'm not saying for you folks who are in danger out there to accept the danger. Yeah. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is look at your situation. You've attracted it. Be gentle with yourself. There's a lesson here. There's a gift. Look at that. That is how being sincerely okay with what is works.
I appreciate this so much too, because a big thing that I preach, I guess you could say, or teach in my coaching is the importance of choice and acknowledging that everything we do is a choice. The issue often is that sometimes our choices are on a subconscious realm, but as we start to become aware of them, then we can actually start having more choice in our choices. Meaning we go, I actually don't like this habit, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. But now that I'm aware of it, I'd like to create a new one to shift it, right?
Yes.
I want to comment again on this quote just because I'm really attached to it, and I wanted to expand a little bit too about what we were referring to earlier. Stifled expression leads to depression. And I think that, that's great and it rhymes and stuff, but I think if we expand on that more, stifled expression leads to all kinds of things. Depression, anxiety, disorders, diseases. And I can definitely attest to that from how I was living my life a few years ago, just really trying to be this certain type of person. And I was having really bad anxiety and just all the time, really freaking out and unsure about things, And what I ended up realizing is that I totally was not completely in alignment with what I was really supposed to be doing as far as my purpose goes, as far as honoring myself and who I am and what I wanted. And as soon as I made some significant changes, which sometimes one of the things that influence us the most is who we're surrounding ourselves with. So people might want to consider that. As soon as I made a significant change by ending a very long relationship, my anxiety was gone in 2 days. Isn't that interesting?
Very.
So it's interesting to really notice that if there's something going on in your body, it's not always perhaps something that, well, how can I say this? Because I don't want to sound too off color.
But you are.
But I kind of am. So I guess what I want to say is sometimes the solution is much simpler than we realize. Yes. Sometimes the anxiety or the discomfort or the depression or the bad feelings are affecting us because it's our body and spirit trying to warn us, change something now. Get the heck out of this situation, right? Sometimes our intuition will pop up and maybe a little voice in our head will say, for example, don't take the freeway home, Jen. This was 8 years ago. Why the heck are you taking the freeway? Why are you taking the freeway? 5 minutes later, I said, stupid voice, shut up. And I'm in a 9-car pileup.
Oh, yeah.
So figuring out how to honor ourselves, our body, our intuition, what our body signals are telling us. And then figuring out if it's more of a physiological issue, because sustained imbalance can cause physiological issues, you know. Mm-hmm.
It's all a message, though. So
yes.
What I like to put out there to folks is no need to become a victim of your body and the symptoms. It's giving you a message, as Jen is saying. There's a misalignment.
Right.
So look at it. Here we go again. Being sincerely okay with what is. Be in control. Like you are in control of that. Look at it. Observe it. Don't judge or criticize. Look. Let yourself relax into it, and then you can hear what your body is trying to tell you. You can feel what it's trying to tell you.
Yes.
And you can discover what's going on. And sometimes it's really simple. It's something that's super, super simple.
And that we like to complicate things.
Yeah. Like if you're feeling depressed, it could be your sugar intake.
Yeah.
You know? It could be something as simple as that. Not saying it's easy to change the habit, but with the methodology that I have, it makes it easier to change some habits because again, we are creating new neurons. Even in adults, we are creating the new neurons. Because
our brain can always be shifting and growing and changing.
Mm-hmm.
And learning.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
Yeah. That's part of the adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we can also talk about heavy metal poisoning and inactivity, but we can say that for another show.
Yeah, we got a lot of shows to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about exactly how does photography support or what does it have to do with transition?
As I was alluding to earlier, for example, this process started out with charting the progress.
Right.
So, again, when we see the progress, we become more confident and more relaxed and more at ease and can move forward with more excitement and joy in the change. So anyone can do this. They can take a picture. For example, you can do a before and after photo of yourself or your body if you are in a transition of changing your body.
Right.
Or if you're ill or you just hired a private what are they called?
Personal trainer?
Personal trainer, sorry. Personal trainer, for example. So you can do that. And that's pretty simple. Now, what I do, again, is I interweave some coaching skills and the non-duality teachings into the photography. For example, one of the processes that I work on the kids with is to determine their felt experiences, what kind of felt experiences are important to them. Each of us has our own unique experiences that we need to get met on a regular basis. So, for example, mine is discovery. So, I'm a student. I'm going to school online. The people I work with, I get to discover people. I like to go for drives and not know where I'm going, or I'll go hiking on paths that I don't know where they lead to. So that's an example of discovery being met, I think, in a healthy and constructive way.
So that's interesting. That makes me think about how I do a lot of work with values with my coaching.
Yes.
And helping people actually figure out what they are, right? And my core 3 values are honesty, respect, and fun. And it makes me think of what you're just describing, how I am a little bit known for being a little wackadoodle, but in a fun way. And it's because I really try to make every single thing I do as fun as possible. Like, I'll get so excited about the simplest things, or to some people it's the simplest thing. That's maybe even a lame thing. I don't know. But I get so excited about it and it becomes so fun for me. Like, just a trip to the, the gas station or the smoothie place can be a super fun adventure.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great example of how we all have our own unique needs and we get them met.
Yes.
Another example would be a 13-year-old girl who has a need for safety and belonging, a sense of belonging. These are all felt experiences that I'm talking about, which can be values, but they can be different. So,
right.
Because trust isn't really like a felt experience.
Right.
I mean, it can be, but that's not where I'm going here. So a 13-year-old girl could have that need for safety and belonging. She may join a gang.
And it's a great way to get those needs met.
She's getting the needs met, but in a destructive, and she's not conscious yet of those needs. So what I do with the photography is I help these kids determine what those needs are. And then I help them go find constructive ways of materializing these experiences. Now, the photography comes in where they go. So we'll go on a photo walkabout, or during the week in between our sessions, they've got to get really creative and take photos of things that represent these felt experiences, like discovery or community, belonging, accomplishment, control, power, fun. So they get to go out and take photos or create a scene and take a photo of that scene to them that represents those experiences.
Yeah.
Because in the end, at the end of this program, they get a photo journal. And this journal is a lifetime access to what worked for me in transition.
I really appreciate you explaining it like that too, because one of the tools on my 5 super easy tools to feel happier now worksheet is to have an album in your smartphone for your happy pics. Excellent. And what that's all about is choosing pictures that immediately evoke a really strong, happy memory. And I think that people, those cliches, a picture's worth 1,000 words or whatever, it has a lot of truth to it. And I think that when people recognize the power that photos can have, they can start using it as a tool for exactly what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. I mean, in my case, it's just for the emphasis of like being able to immediately shift your energy to a positive state. Let's say something just made you mad. Go look at one of your happy photos that immediately makes you laugh or giggle or smile or something, right?
Yeah.
But for what you're talking about, having things that document the different needs or the different felt experiences that you described I think it's a really interesting method to be able to also utilize photography, which is a fairly simple method, to something that can actually have quite an impact on our state of mind and our well-being.
Indeed. Yeah. And we don't need to be a photographer to do this, and
we all have phones these days.
A smartphone or a pocket digital camera or an old film camera or a disposable camera. So, and there's no rules. Like, there are no rules to the photography about composition or lighting. There's no rules at all.
Yeah.
The only rule is to document what you value in that moment, a feeling, a thought, an emotion of, for example, a felt experience. Now, then, when it comes to the non-duality segment, and this is really the foundation of the teaching. Because just imagine that you, as the listener, can get to a place where you have less craving for things to be different, and you have less aversion and less of those thoughts of resistance and resentment. Imagine how much healthier your body will become, and your relationships, and there's just a joy there because your head isn't full of all that stuff.
Yeah.
So here's an example of a non-duality approach, and compassion as well is naturally incorporated in here. So, for example, this is an example I use. So, say you're in a household, you're a kid, you're in a household where the refrigerator is generally bare, or it contains mostly food that is not healthy and you are nutritionally depleted. So say you're a kid and you're in a home and that's the case. So put yourself in that position for a moment. I would have you open the refrigerator and take a photo of that bare refrigerator, of that refrigerator full of yucky food. Then I would have you practice looking at that photo and not judging it, not criticizing it, not trying to make it different. Mm-hmm. Practicing just being with it. Like, okay, so this is what it is. And again, I am not condoning being okay with starving or being depleted in a nutritional way. I'm not supporting that. What I'm supporting is the magic of looking at something as it is, as it truly is, and being neutral with it, observing it. Because what's going to happen, folks, is once you get, look, I have chills already. Once you get to that point, the criticisms, the judgments, the wanting to make it different is going to start to fall away. When that's happening, you might not even be aware of when it's happening. What's going to occur in that is there's going to be more clarity in the head. Mm-hmm. You're creating an opening for ideas, solutions, listening to your intuition, which is always going to give you a solution or an idea or an answer.
Can I, real quick, for people that think even the word or phrase intuition's a little bit too hippy-dippy woo-woo, I want to challenge that, because actually there's some pretty significant research out there. I should try and find it so I can quote it better. That actually validates that some of the most successful business people attribute a lot of their success to being in tune with their intuition and being able to make their decisions more from a more intuitive standpoint.
This is true, and it's a fact, and I tell you, folks sign on the dotted line based on their gut. Mm-hmm. The $1 million line is signed based on the gut. So we can use gut if people are more aligned with that word.
Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I just wanted to touch on that really quick. Sorry.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Okay, so you're at this point where you're relaxing into what is, and your body starts to relax, and your brain starts to relax. It opens up, again, the solutions, the ideas, listening to your gut. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen in a day. It could be weeks. Mm-hmm. But every single day is a step towards creating what you say is most important. It's a step towards the light at the end of the tunnel. So last night we had a discussion about this at Coffee Cats, and I just want to make the point again, like, this is not about being okay with being in danger, being abused, being starving, none of that. I'm speaking to looking at the situation in a moment. This is just one moment at a time, okay? Because all we have is the moment. Seeing it for what it is. And, when you're upset and you have a lot of resistance and resentment, and you're angry and you're just fueling that fire. You're just, and you're putting more, you're making that fire bigger. So it's like, I make real that to which I put my attention. So if you're like throwing fuel at this fire, all this resistance, you're going to increase the situation. You're going to perpetuate the situation.
Right.
So I'm talking about the opposite of that. Yeah. Don't give fire to what you're frustrated with.
Yeah.
Just observe it. Yeah. Observing it does not give it fire.
Can I give kind of a mini testimonial to that? Yes. And also to even using photography?
Yes.
I was on my way to Songbird the other day, and my belly had been a little funny. I was having some energy shifts happening, and it was going through my gut. And I had made a really awesome smoothie. I was on the phone with someone, and I look over, and I go, ah! Stuff that I can't say on the radio. And they're like, what's wrong? I said, my smoothie's all over my car now. And almost my entire smoothie, probably almost like 20 ounces of it, all spilled out. Right? But as soon as I went, I looked and I went, oh my gosh, how convenient. It all spilled into my cup holders. And I was so excited for the rest of the way because I'm like, well, at least I have about 4 ounces of smoothie left and it's all in my cup holder. And I see like my little stress juice like floating in there and one of my cords kind of dangling in there and some business cards all soaked up. And I'm like already like, oh, and I'll just be able to like soak napkins in smoothie and then throw the napkins away. And when I get to Songbird, they've got plenty of paper towels and it's going to be totally fine because I can just clean it up. And look, there's only a little drop over here on the e-brake. That's great. And I get there and I'm just like totally fine with cleaning up my smoothie out of my car, right? And I realize there's a bunch of smoothie stuck behind the little thing that covers the cup holders. And I'm like, oh no, I can't get behind there. Open mind saves the day. Little bottle of water, pour it down the side because it's just going to go back into the cup holder and not damage anything. So I cleaned it all out, gave it a bath, and now my cup holders are cleaner than when I bought the car. Right? And I took a picture of it while it was a disaster. And now when I look at it, I'm like, you know what? I did a darn good job making that okay, right? Because I could have easily freaked out. And how would that have helped?
It would not have.
Yeah, then I would have just probably been more mad and spilled stuff all over or splashed it all over, but I just went, oh man, I can totally fix this problem. No, not a big deal at all.
Well, that brings me to the childlike wonder and the playfulness. So that's what I think that you had, which helped you relax about the situation.
And find the solution.
And you found the solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like that?
An awesome story.
You like that? In fact, here, I'll pull up the picture for you so you can enjoy it. Maybe I think Janet put a post on Facebook. And let me see real quick. I think if you go to Janet Caliri on Facebook, or if you go to facebook.com/Jen Julius coaching, you'll be able to find that link. And I will go post the smoothie disaster picture. Here you go, Janet. See that?
Oh, I love it. That's remarkable.
Smoothie disaster, but not for long. So you can find that. Okay. Anyways, as we were saying, before and after. Well, I didn't take an after picture. Maybe I should have. Yeah. Yeah. I'll blame all the dirty stuff on my car on the smoothie, even though it's obvious there's more dirt than just smoothie. But anyways, as we were saying, getting back to
but that's a great example of being okay with what is. Like, there's nothing that you can do about it except for what you can do about it.
Right.
And what you can do about it is first just have fun with it, or have some childlike wonder about it, so that everything relaxes and then the solution comes. Like boom, boom, boom. Right?
Yeah.
All the solutions just came to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was okay. Because you could have ruined your entire day.
Oh, I could have freaked out super bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Sometimes I'm good at that. Yeah. So I want to make sure that we touch on what we were going to share with people about how people can really use photography so maybe you could give a couple really clear tips, like maybe some action steps as how they could use photography we've been talking about it all morning, but be sincerely okay with how things are, become more present, and develop more self-compassion. So let's maybe give a couple minutes on how could someone today use their smartphone or use photography to be able to do those few things. So maybe they're having something challenging going on in their life right now, and they're having a hard time being okay with how things are, or feeling present, or having any self-compassion. Maybe there's a lot of blame and guilt. How could they take steps to be able to feel better from that stuff by using photography?
Great. Well, let's start with compassion. So maybe you are you're overweight or underweight, and you're working at changing your body and becoming healthier. You could take a photo of your face, your body right now. And most likely you don't like it because you're wanting it to change. So for example, if you're not happy with the way it is, take a photo. Look at the photo every single day.
Yeah.
There's always something there that you admire. But that's fine. But you know what? I want you to look at the photo of yourself, and I want you to just be neutral. Can you practice being neutral, like not pointing out the flaws, not pointing out the wrinkles, not pointing out, oh, I wish my hips were about an inch smaller. Just look at the beauty. All right. you're an amazing vehicle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at that. I mean, where's the magic and the childlike wonder in that?
Yeah.
Go back to when you were a kid. Do you think you stood in front of the mirror and criticized yourself? No, you were all wonder. Wonder. Take that picture and get into the wonder. Go back to your childlike nature. So that's an example. That is going to develop compassion because it is absent of criticism and judgment. Let's see. So the non-duality I've explained, but again, well, maybe your child is in school and your child's not doing well. So you could take some photos of the report card that has some notes on it or, a grade C. And then you take photos of your child's progress. Maybe they've come home with a better grade on a test. Mm-hmm. Capture that. Capture whatever shows progress with this child in their math class, for example. Then the next time they get a report card, more than likely the grade is going to be better than a C. You can capture that. So there's all these like before and after type of photos that one can do. And again, when you see the progress, it does reduce the anxiety and it does help develop compassion because you're like, oh, I am making progress.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself develops self-compassion.
Right.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, time flies when you're having fun. We only have about 10 minutes left.
Okay.
I know. So is there something that you still wanted to touch on during our time together today? And then I want to make sure that we have an opportunity for you to tell people how they can find out more information about you. Yeah.
Oh gosh,
you want to describe a photo walkabout or?
Yeah, I will describe a photo walkabout.
Okay.
For example, one of my clients, one of his felt experiences is community. He has a regular need to experience community. And by the way, whatever our needs are, it's up to us to create it for others so that we can actually have the experience ourselves. So if you're one that has a driving need for community, create it for others, because then you're automatically creating it for yourself. And no, It's not selfish. It's actually selfless. I want to make that point.
Yeah.
So he and I were walking in the park, and we had discovered that community was one of his felt experiences. And in the park was this big meadow of that long wheatgrass. And at the top of the wheatgrass are the heads, I guess you call them they look like little heads. So, that thick sprouted part. So he looked over and he said, oh my goodness, there's thousands and thousands of people. Here's all their heads and these are people. And so he squatted down and he took a photo of this meadow of this tall grass with all these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And so that to him, it represented community. So he can look at that photo and say, oh, okay, community is important to me, because we do tend to forget what's important to us.
Yeah.
And then we can remember how to create that for ourselves in a healthy and constructive way. Let's see. So the photo walkabout is just that we'll have a discussion, we'll work on certain areas, and then we'll go and take photos. And then during the week, the client has a practice at as well. But some of the photo walkabouts are also spontaneous. So, for example, I took a client to Armstrong Woods. And we just had a conversation, and it was intuitively guided. Mm-hmm. And then we would stop when she was moved to take a photo. And suddenly she took a photo of a redwood tree or a piece of bark or something abstract. Mm-hmm. And the abstract photos, by the way, are really magical for representing a value in that moment, the feeling, the thought, the emotion, the felt experience. And so in the moment she took a photo, and then that, in that moment, she she had an insight. And so now we have a new insight, a new learning, and of course the new neurons are being created right in that moment.
Sure.
And we can witness that. And so then we have a discussion about what just came up for her, and we have a new learning, and then we can go and take more photos of that.
Wow.
So that's a photo walkabout. And it's always different. So it's hard for me to pinpoint it.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that we got to be here today and share this.
Likewise.
Photography, I think, is just magical for most people. I think there's something really sacred that people know is there. Like there's something sacred about being able to capture a moment and capture a memory as it is at a given time.
It's so precious.
And even if you think about like some of the most beautiful pictures you've seen, sometimes they might be like action shots, right? Where maybe people don't realize the photo's being taken. And you can see the genuineness and the essence of that experience and moment. So I really appreciate how you've been able to share with us the value that can also be held in this method.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really super, super exciting.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell us, maybe if you have a couple events coming up, you can tell us where those might be at, but also if you have a website that you'd like to tell us about, how can people find out more information about you and Visible Transitions?
Okay. They can either go to janetcaliri.com or visibletransitions.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here. It's really been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been really fun, Jen. I really appreciate it. And I'm really excited about this work. So any chance I get to spread the word, I greatly appreciate it.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all for listening to Information and Inspiration with Jen Julius. For more information about me and to check out some of my previously recorded shows, you can go to jenjulius.com or like me on Facebook at facebook.com/JenJuliusCoaching. See you next time.